Was this. What are Superman's priorities? So you think about Superman, you think through the stories, and you say, as you think about who he is, what were his priorities? Well, maybe his priorities are save the universe. After all, he's an alien, so he must be caring about worlds all over the solar system and all over the universe. And then you realize, no, actually, I don't know if he left the planet Earth very often at all. So really, it was mostly the Earth. But then I started thinking about it, and I don't remember him very often over there in France or Italy or Israel. So maybe it wasn't the Earth. Maybe it's really America, after all, truth, justice, and the American way. But I'm starting to think about it, and actually, wasn't there just kind of one city that we're always told he was in? That's right. I think it was actually Metropolis. Well, okay, it's really all about Lois. I mean, who could call and he would be there? Lois. What happened to all those other people at the time he's rescuing Lois? They were falling off the building and nobody was there to catch them. Just because they didn't happen to get a superhero to fall in love with them. Here's my thing about Superman. I mean, here he is. He's the superhero. He's the epitome of superheroes. He's the superhero which all superheroes aspire to be. Yes, and I know, being one myself. But here he is. And when you really get down to it, his priority was Metropolis, and then Lois and maybe Jimmy on a good day. He was focused on the place where he was. He was focused on the people around him that were there. Now, we've been talking about Compassion Sunday. We've been talking about being able to help people all over the world, and we have opportunities to do that. I'm certainly not encouraging you to stop being open to helping people that you don't know. But it's fascinating. You know, we have our own wall up here this morning. We're talking about Nehemiah's wall, and this is our wall. You guys began this wall by telling us last week that this foundation is made from the things that you wrote about how you're going to be more alert and attentive to God. How you're going to listen to God more effectively. So we started building our wall. And in the same way, Nehemiah, he got permission, he went back, he starts building his wall. But it's interesting how he does it. In Nehemiah chapter 3, the whole chapter just talks about people building the wall. It tells us that so-and-so built over here, and so-and-so built over there, and so-and-so built in this place, and so-and-so built in that place, and these people built over here. But it's fascinating the kind of phrases that come up a lot. For example, beyond them, Benjamin and Hashub made repairs in front of their house. And next to them, Azariah, son of Messiah, the son of Ananiah, made repairs beside his house. Above the horse gate, the priest made repairs, each in front of his own house. Next to them, Zadok, son of Immer, made repairs opposite his house. Next to him, Shemaiah, son of Shekiah, the guard at the east gate, made repairs. You see how they're making repairs in front of their own house. Nehemiah is very smart, isn't he? He says, we got to repair the wall. What part of the wall are you going to be most concerned about is protected? The part in front of your house. You're going to do a good job on that part in front of your house because you don't want people to break through, right? There is nothing wrong with the fact that you mothers and you fathers, that when it comes to all the people in the world that you want discipled, all the people in the world that you want pursuing God and following God, all the people in the world that you want to be blessed by God, there's nothing wrong with the fact that you want your family at the front of that list. It's the way that God has designed it. Do you see that? It's interesting. He even tells the church something that sounds sort of inward in a negative way, but it's from God, so it must be fine. He says, do good to all people, especially to those of the household of faith. What is that about? Obviously, we are to go beyond ourselves. We'll see that in a second. But I want you to understand in these 40 days, as you look at the challenge, as you're listening to God and God may be leading you to speak, it is unlikely, it's not impossible, but it is unlikely that God is in this 40-day challenge going to say to you, it's time to move to Timbuktu, to Zimbabwe. There's no place like that, but to some far-flung continent or country. It's unlikely. It's not impossible. If he does, and you should listen. But it's unlikely. It's more likely he's going to say to you, are you loving your wife? Are you loving your husband? Are you discipling your children? Are you talking to your neighbors? Are you sharing with your coworkers? You see that? Does that make sense? I want to encourage you, focus on your Metropolis. In this 40-day challenge, focus on your Metropolis. It's okay. If Superman can do it, and if Nehemiah can do it, I think we can do it. Focus on your metropolis. Now, I do want to encourage you, expect to be a hero. Expect to do something which will change someone's life in your metropolis. Expect to be there to rescue somebody when they cry for help, because God may lead you to be that person that's there to rescue them as they're falling off that building, so to speak. And I will tell you, it doesn't mean when you focus on your metropolis that you won't have to expand your comfort zone. This is interesting too. Next to him, Malchijah, one of the goldsmiths, made repairs as far as the house of the temple servants and the merchants opposite the inspection gate and as far as the room above the corner. I still think this is all near his place, but he's a goldsmith. He's not a mason. He's a goldsmith, and he's helping repair the wall. As you read through Nehemiah 3, you see that too. You've got priests repairing the wall. You've got people repairing the walls that are not wall builders. Sometimes you got to expand beyond your comfort zone while you're focused on your metropolis. Does that make sense? God may lead you there. 1 Thessalonians, now about brotherly love, we do not need to write to you, for you yourselves have been taught by God to love each other, and in fact you do love all the brothers throughout Macedonia. Yet we urge you, brothers, to do so more and more. Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, to mind your own business, and to work with your hands, just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders, and so that you will not be dependent on anybody. It's a very interesting verse. It starts with saying you should love people more and more. And then in the middle it says, mind your own business, which we would not see those two as compatible, would we? But that's what he says. Love people more and more, mind your own business, and then closes it with saying, as you do that, you will impact those outside. Focus on your metropolis. Do your job excellently. Love your family richly. Disciple your kids diligently. And your coworkers and your neighbors will respect you, and that will give you opportunity to expand beyond your comfort zone and speak to them. Does that make sense? Do you see that? Do you see how leaving aside your metropolis could be a very bad idea? All right, here's what I want you to do this morning. We will bag the last song. But here's what you're going to do. You're going to go back to your tables here in a second for the coffee chat. Now, as I said, we've started this wall. We're going to build this wall through the whole 40-day challenge. By the time we have our service in the park, we're going to have this tall and long wall. It's going to be really awesome. People are going to come by and go, why is there a wall in the park? And we're going to explain it to them. We're going to tell them why there's a wall in the park. We're going to explain to them, or at least I'm going to explain to you. I don't know exactly what I'm telling them yet. We'll figure that out when we get there. But I'm going to explain to you right now that God wants to rebuild the American church. Like the Jerusalem wall, parts of it have fallen down. It no longer has the glory that it once had in our country. I don't think it lacks the power, and I don't think that the church is missing enough faithful, devoted, zealous, honestly God-seeking people. I don't think that's true. I think they're there. But as everybody looks, there's so often in which the church has lost its respect. People don't look at it with respect. The outsiders aren't looking in and saying, I want to be like them. They're looking in and saying, what in the world are they doing? And who are they? And why would I ever want to go there? I want to start rebuilding that. And the first thing we do in that foundation is we keep listening to God. Don't stop. But those things that you gave us for the foundation of that wall, that's the foundation. We keep shoring that up. Yes? Second thing I want you to do when you get back to your coffee chat, do we have paper for them, Dave? Okay. There's paper for you. I want you to write down. There's actually two more. We're going to build two more layers, and you can actually write on 2 pieces of paper if you want. We're that generous today. Or you can just do one of these 2 layers, but we're going to build 2 more layers on this wall by next week. One, what is your metropolis that you need to be more intentional about? Is there something as you're focusing on God and you're thinking about maybe God wants to minister to me through me? What is your metropolis? Is it your family? Is it your workplace? What is the metropolis you need to focus more on, that you need to be more intentional about? That doesn't mean to the exclusion of other things. It doesn't mean that you can't continue to love your family if God says you need to be more intentional about your work and how you affect people at your work. What is it? Just think about it. Just write it down. What is it you need to be more intentional about?